Illiteracy is a dirty word, whispered, hidden, and masked by technology. But sadly, it is alive and festering in the underbelly of St. Lucia, as many an illiterate person was forced to swap a pencil for a cutlass in their youthful years. Years later, this decision of necessity, albeit convenience, has returned and impacts their ability to function effectively within society. According to the last census conducted in 1990, over 45.9% of St. Lucians are functionally illiterate.
At the time, my mom could not afford, that's what I was told. I guess my father wasn't around, he didn't really care. But then she said she couldn't afford, so that was it. I left school at standard 2. I had to stay to help with my other siblings, so then I didn't have a choice.
When the child put the thing on the board there, I was watching on the highway. So it just going up and down. That's what I used in our school. And see my pencil outside and go back home and go and take it. Or go bring saddles by saddle there. And I can had blackberries, go take blackberries, go back in school, sit and eat blackberries and the teacher talking. I don't focus on what the teacher saying, is my blackberries, that's it.
For someone born into an underprivileged milieu to parents with little formal schooling, the likelihood of being illiterate or experiencing serious learning difficulties will be higher. This is known as intergenerational transmission of illiteracy. Other common reasons for adult illiteracy is lack of books at home and lack of stimulation as to the importance of reading. Also, doing badly at or dropping out of school. Many have not completed primary school. Difficult living conditions, including poverty, as well as learning disabilities such as dyslexia and dysorthographia, are also leading causes.
St. Lucia is in a precarious position where we are limited in terms of how much we can do because there's an unspoken secret of illiteracy. Far more persons than you are aware cannot read and write. They're functionally illiterate because they're familiar with material. They use their mobile phones, they use the computer, internet. But to be able to read for meaning, to be able to recognize words and sound them and actually read like reading is supposed to be, a lot of persons have these challenges and they're everywhere.
Adults aged 45 and over with low literacy skills have the distinction of belonging to generations for whom there were attractive job opportunities despite a lower level of schooling. A very large number of them have always worked in the same field, founding their families, and thus have never felt the need to go back to school. Owing to the closing of many companies over the past few years, especially in the manufacturing and the primary sectors, these persons have found themselves out of work and are often unable to find a new job because they have difficulty reading and writing. Also, they lack the necessary skills to meet the current market requirements or to register in training that would allow them to requalify. Mundane tasks pose peculiar challenges.
When I was going to the bank, I would not fill the form, but I could sign my name. If it's a withdrawal, I telling them, well, I come and draw if it's $200, $300, or if it's my salary.
The chance I had was with the bank because I cannot pull the, how do you call it, the bank slip. I cannot, at first I don't know how to pull it.
It was not very difficult, but I had people to help me. What I couldn't do, I would have just asked for help.
I was able to deal with it by being bold. I asked for the help because I could not do it. I literally could not fill the bank slip on my own. I could not do anything like that.
I once encountered a business owner who has a very thriving business and she cannot write her checks to sell out or to purchase her ingredients for her meals. She has to rely on her daughter to write out those checks before the van gets there. If not, she cannot take advantage of any sale that has showed up because she cannot rewrite that check. So this is actually crippling her business.
Nearly every country in the world grapples with these challenges. Cuba launched a national literacy campaign in 1961 dubbed the Yo Si Puedo, Yes I Can, which reduced the illiteracy rate from 23.6% to 3.9%. The program was pioneered by Cuban educator Dr. Leonela Reyes Diaz, and since then, her teachings have spread to over 29 nations, allowing over 6 million people to develop basic literacy, including St. Lucia.
The Yes I Can program will teach you how to read and write in only 4 months. So you may have no literacy experience, you may be partially literate, but within 4 months, you can move from not being able to write your name to being able to write your name and doing far more than that, being able to read to your children, being able to use your device apart from just being recognizing the symbols and images, but using the words.
There is an introductory block of lessons designed for people with no prior experience of reading and writing, which includes exercises to practice holding a pen and forming simple shapes. In cases where participants already have some literacy skills, these lessons can be skipped. The alphanumeric approach uses knowledge of numbers to develop a knowledge of letters. This was introduced to the program on the suggestion of Dr. Fidel Castro and based on the understanding that numbers are more familiar in everyday life to people who are illiterate. The vowels A, E, I, O, U are associated with the numbers 1 to 5, and the consonants are associated with numbers roughly in correspondence to their frequency of use. Many illiterate people in St. Lucia were able to effectively deal with money and quantities, an education they received on the streets. 2 communities were selected for this novel initiative.
We opened it up to Micoud because Micoud has a similar demographic to Canaries. The literacy level there from that 20-year-old report was also by and large about the same. And they also had the same access to connectivity issues as per other reports. So we decided to pull in a cohort in Micoud. To our surprise, the subscription was overwhelming. A lot of persons wanted to be part. We actually had to put a cap, and in some cases, we included other people without their workbooks, and we made copies to ensure that they had that info. Early on in the program, we recognized that a lot of the persons who were receptive to participating were women, and most of them are in rural communities, and the correlation is that most of them had more than 3 children. So it meant that if we have to run that program, we need to make an accommodation for the children, because that can be a factor that prevents a parent from actually coming to a class, whether they're sick, whether they cannot be babysat by other members of the family. So one of the things we put in very early was the child-friendly corner.
My first day I was excited but a bit scared, because I feel they have people in the class and maybe they would say, "You mean all that time that lady cannot read?" You know, so I had that little thing then. When I came in, I was welcome, so I felt everybody just welcomed me, so then it was a little easier for me to move on. When I left the day, I went straight home into whatever they taught me. I didn't sleep. My daughter, my son was like, "Mommy, you need to sleep." I said, "No, I have to come out something. I need to do something for me." So that was a good day for me with that Yes I Can program.
Noelita is 63 years old, and for over 55 years, she had memorized a poem. In December 2020, she was finally able to script it.
Little bird upon the tree, come and sing a song to me. I am sitting there alone, come and sit upon that stone. But the little bird said, "No, mother will not let me go. She will shut me up, and then I will hop about and fly." One day I was at my home in the afternoon, and I decided, well, I write in a poem. I take my pencil, my book, and I sit. And I start. I write the title, my name, I write the title of the poem, The Dog's Duty, and I start writing. And I write all, and I bring it to Shona. I even show it to Miss Malze. But I know for sure, Jade and Shona, they were pushing me, yes. Because if I don't know, or I make a little mistake, sometimes when I made my thing at home, I come to Shona and I tell her, Shona, look what I do here. Shona will tell me yes, because the poem I just say there, I show it to Shona. I do in my alphabet letters and I bring it to her. So I could say it pushed me a little further in front. So I am proud. Oh, yes, I can program.
Majority of them that they had a bank account at the Monrepo Credit Union, and it was so difficult that when they go there, the teller have to assist them in filling out the slip. And I am happy that with us being part of the Yes I Can program, that we were able to help each and every one of the participants to fill out their slip. Some of them, like when they wanted to give up, I would go to them and encourage them to stay focused. At the end of it, they will not regret it. Once a week, we use the Micoud library. I make them register and to be part of the library. And every single day, you know, like when we go to the library, they will choose a book to read. And I can say that the Yes I Can program is over, and I am still seeing some of the participants still visiting the Micoud library.
We also ensured that our minister showed support by physically visiting the different centers to encourage them, to let them know that while this is for them, but the nation is also interested in their growth and growth.
Within the Yes I Can method, low literacy is not understood as an individual issue, but rather as a social issue, which requires a community-wide approach. This process is referred to as socialization and involves mobilizing as many people as possible to take part in the campaign in a variety of roles. This process aims to develop a community-wide understanding of the links between literacy and wider social and economic development goals.
The biggest challenge was spellings. When we had words to spell, and like the first day they gave the spellings, and it was, you know, Miss took us unaware, and like she said, today spellings, and I cried in class that day because knowing that I couldn't spell one, like I got 2 words wrong, and I really wanted to get everything. So the spellings was a challenge for me, but then it was a good one because it helped me to go back and do it. So then when she called it back, I was able to get everything.
Well, now I'm able to more friendly, more outspoken. I'm able to help my daughter do some research in the school activities.
It has changed my life because now I can go to the bank and the withdrawal slip, I can fill the slips on my own. I'm able to see words and just spell it out, like learn to read it. I was afraid to come out to people to tell them because I felt that they would make fun of me. I was looking forward for it. I went all out for graduation.
On December 1st, 2020, 27 St. Lucians earned the title of graduates of Yes I Can in what was the conclusion of the first pilot stage of this program. The ceremony held at the Castries Finance Administrative Center became a day of emotions for graduates who, along with their families and friends, demonstrating that it is possible to change and transform their lives through knowledge and education.
We finally made it. We finally